Well, I think, technology is changing and impacting our everyday life, but it's specifically to, my life at NBCU or our company, which is really a new company, being a newly merged company, which it's really hard to describe everything new that's happening every day at NBCU. But when I first joined the company, which was only about a year and a half ago, I was brought on just to oversee the digital and cable properties, but that was very innovative and a little crazy back just a year and a half ago to say that there was one person that was going to do cable and digital. Ooh, that sounds so loud.
Bring it down, guys.
And then about, you got it?
Yeah.
Then about 6 months later, when I took on the broader role for the properties across the company, there was very, very much a joint philosophy at the company that it was really for one purpose, and that was to just offer our content to the consumer across all platforms. So there was a very easy mechanism to put in place, put the sales and marketing team in place, but that really meant that we were going to have to really amp up investment in the technology space, but also amp up our focus on innovation. And just to give you the most recent example, if you read about Comcast and NBCU's agreement or partnership with Twitter yesterday, it was a very, very unique conversation, even in our own company, to be able to simultaneously do almost what we were calling a kind of like a two-pronged or two-headed deal with the Comcast side of the house. We're lucky at our company to have so much content, but also have the pipe also to be able to move that content directly to the consumer. So we're able to have that conversation and actually bridge the gap between the multi-screen.
The agency had one fax machine, and we had just won the E&J Gallo Winery account, which is Bartles and James and Gallo Wine. It's not Todd's Champagne. And so I had to go upstairs to the floor where the one fax machine was to send the memo, because it was 6 o'clock in New York, it was 3 o'clock in Modesto, California. It's unbelievable how far it's come. I think for us, and with the ultimate goal of every dollar we spend trying to drive a client's business results, right? The filter for me, and as Dave said, I'm not a digital native, is that every single thing we do, what's the digital play with regards to it? Every single thing that we try to do has to have a digital filter. Digital is either first or second, but ultimately everything leads to, okay, so great, so how do we capture the customer? How do we send them to the website? How do we talk to them again? How do we, what do we know more? How do we know more about them? So for us, I feel like every single mission statement that we write, every single vision that we have, anything that we do has to take into account the fact that we all live in the digital era. And if we don't think through that with regards to every single aspect of every single thing we do, we have to be missing something. Yeah, we have made a big bet. We've committed to driving 50% of our client spend through an automated channel, whether that's the exchange, the buyer, the seller, or also how we manage the inventory internally in 3 years. Which is a very, very lofty goal. It's a little like when John F. Kennedy told the world that the U.S. was going to get to Mars, was going to get to the moon, and he hadn't talked to NASA about it. I feel like I'm sort of the NASA in that flag that's been planted by somebody who I work for. But we're up for it. I think what I'm excited about with regards to driving what we do is a vision that says, there's going to be a side that plays Moneyball, if you will. The movie Moneyball is programmatic, using data to talk to people who are buying cars and serve them a car ad, even in television or in video. But that there's the other side of it, which Dave and I have talked about, which is let's not forget that content's still important, context is still important, broad audiences are still important in order to drive the things brands are trying to drive. So we're going to try to make bigger bets with media companies with regards to, say, the right brain, for lack of a better way to describe it. We're going to put a lot of money behind, I hope, behind right brain initiatives, and then in terms of our clients' money, and then we're going to try to figure out how to be smarter on the left brain side. So it's a combination of both, and anybody who, sort of back to your question about who do we hire, I mean, we need more people who have left brain strength, but I think you'll only go so far if you're pure left brain and you don't have any right brain game.
I really agree a lot with what Tim said. but mostly from the data and technology standpoint. I think that's for what some people called an old media company like NBCU. We very, very much believe that investing in technology and data mining is a key to our future, that not only will help us be more successful in continuing to aggregate and push this incredible scale that we have now, from hiring for the first time head of data to kind of take the secret keys of the Comcast set-top box data and start to figure out what are those insights that we have and how can that influence what we do to get better at as a company for our own assets, but also to offer opportunities to our clients, right, to help them get their messages out, because we have a couple of priorities. One would be the consumer experience on the Comcast side of the house, and obviously one is serving our advertiser clients. But we talk a lot about, if you were going to design a media company of the future, it would look a lot like Comcast, whether it is from the movie studio to the TV studio to our digital properties like Fandango and all of our cable properties, broadcast, et cetera, et cetera. But what does that mean? We have all this stuff, but how do we activate it and make it really pay out that notion of the media company of the future? And we do believe a lot of it sits in our unconditional devotion to making great content, whether it's through the movie studio or our television properties, and also to make sure that we keep it relevant with the population as it changes and evolves.
Coming into the industry, how is it different then, and how do you think about people you're trying to recruit in now, and what kind of lessons would you give them from your experience in transitioning directly into the industry out of school, with obviously some knowledge since your father had been involved in the industry and you knew people in the industry, but how do you think about how you were prepared, and how do you look for people should be prepared today?
Nobody gave a shit about that when I was a secretary, making $11,440. I can assure you. But
They weren't helicopter parents then, is what you're saying?
yeah, exactly. I think the analytical, tech-savvy aspect is the biggest new part of it. It's just a reality. I mean, I spend more time meeting with tech companies than I do media owners. Maybe that's wrong, but it ends up being that way. So I think that sort of tech side is is necessary to thrive in our business. Again, I think you just can't just rely on that, or you're going to be sitting in the analytics department only, which maybe is what you want to do, so fantastic. But I think the only thing was that basically, and I say this to people, a fair amount of time, it's fun to tell them. We have big intern programs at our place, and a couple hundred people come through there, and I'll inevitably speak to them. It's like, you're going to make no money, and you're going to have 3 roommates, you're going to live in Brooklyn. For me, it was the Upper East Side. You're going to live in Brooklyn, you're going to eat Kraft macaroni and cheese for dinner for the first 2 years, and you're going to work till 7 o'clock every single night. And then, and if you need to borrow money from your parents or grandparents, I would do it, because in 3 years, if you do all that, you're going to put yourself in a whole different place. And so I think it's an exciting career, it just takes time to build.